My name is Stacy DeShazier. Many of you probably have already met me. I am the market liaison for Manage My Market, and I have about 16 years in the market space. I've been using Manage My Market as a customer for most of that time, and I've been supporting market managers on training and strategy and using the program to their best ability for about 7 years now. And this would be the appropriate email if you are interested. Maybe you've never seen Manage My Market before. We have a real mix of folks here today. So if you want a demonstration, discuss your unique needs, if you need help with onboarding, if you yourself have been using Manage My Market for quite a while, but would like some specific training, or maybe you have some new people that you've added to your team. We do what's called new primary contact training so that everybody can stay fresh on the platform. I also offer strategy sessions. So if there's something that is just a sticky point for you and you are looking for a solution, it'd be great to just book a strategy session. And again, just send me an email to that reach-us@managemymarket.com. We also have Olamide monitoring the chat. She is with part of our support team. And I wanted to introduce the email where you reach out to support. So if you are a current customer and you would like to reach out with technical assistance, this would be the appropriate email to send your needs to. We've recently expanded our support team, so we're happy to say that your emails are answered typically in under 24 hours. Our support hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and that's Pacific Standard Time. But things are checked over the weekend for emergencies. So if something comes up, feel free to send that email and we'll do our very best to get in touch with you right away. For faster support, try to include a lot of detail on your issue. For example, if you have, a question about a particular invoice, try to include, if you can, the vendor's name and the invoice number. It's really helpful if we can understand right away what areas of the platform you need help in. Screenshots are extra helpful, but not required. So let's dig into the market application process. So when you're creating your market application, make this a little bigger for you guys. You're going to start in the market apps area of Manage My Market. Now, if you're a brand new market, clean slate, you're going to start from scratch. You can take a look at any previous application you have. So if you're using paper or you're using a Google form, and just sort of translate it into the market application. We even provide sample text. So I'm all about not reinventing the wheel. So in Manage My Market, in the tutorials area, you'll even find sample language to get your application started. If you're, been with us this season or in the past, you can actually just copy your application. That saves a lot of time. And I want to talk about, and I'm going to get into a little bit more detail on that in the next slide. When you create a market application, I recommend you put the year in there, because year to year to year, you don't want to have a market the same name. So something like Pop-Up Night Market 2025, Pop-Up Night Market 2026. So you guys kind of get the idea. Review and update key details. So in Manage My Market, there's a box for applicants. It's a message that applicants see before they apply to your market. This is really where you want to tell your market's mission statement. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is why we do it. It's sort of like a little mini advertisement for your market. You want to attract those vendors. It's a good place to talk about what you're looking for. And I always say this, maybe what you're not looking for, right? So if there are certain types of vendors that your market doesn't accept, It's a good idea to put that in your message to applicants just so that they're not wasting your time and you're not wasting theirs, because they have the opportunity to stop the application process after they read that. It's also a good time to think about your vendor types. Sometimes I see markets that have 15 vendor types, and I don't recommend that. I recommend you kind of take a more generalized approach. So examples would be hot food, um, nonprofits, farmers, musicians, sort of broad. So try to stay away from having bakeries, gluten-free, jewelry, um, that sort of things that are real product specific. And this is because so many things throughout Manage My Market are customizable by vendor type. And when you go to run a report at the end of your season and you want to see, what's the kind of income or what are sales like for my artisans type vendors, you don't want to have to add that jewelry and ceramics together. So I do recommend, try to keep it tight. 3 or 4 vendor types should really get it done. So now's a really good time to review those vendor types and just make sure they're still making sense for your organization. Don't leave out sponsors, community booths, and musicians. There's really no need to manage a second process for these folks. They can create a profile and Manage My Market and apply just like your regular vendors. Stall sizes, another great thing to review. You might be adding food trucks, for example. So any kind of new stall size space, you want to add that at that time. Probably the biggest thing I want managers to think about this time of year is their payments. What kind of payment process are you accepting now? And what's working and what's not working? So if you're a market that's taking cash, and you want to go cashless, maybe you are concerned about the amount of cash you're having on hand on site. This is a great time to start thinking about onboarding an online payment processor. These are the kinds of things that you want to have in place now so that when your application goes live, everything is set. Everything can be added later, but it's much easier to get everything at the time of application. Like vendor types, if you find that you have a lot of options here for payments, I'm kind of in favor for just 2 payments, either pay for the whole season up front or pay as you go. But you can certainly have more. But try to limit the amount of payment payment plans that you offer, right? Because Manage My Market can manage all of those processes, but it's more simple for you if you just have a couple. Now, when you copy your market application, the cool thing is things carry over. So the things that carry over is your dates. And what the dates will do is it will assume that this is the same market, just in a different year. So it's going to copy all of the dates over. So for example, if your market is a Saturday market, it's going to copy all the dates over and adjust them for all the Saturdays in 2026. So it will do that first step for you as a shortcut. But if you are adding another day, maybe now this season your market's going to be on Thursday and Saturday, you're going to have to go in and add those dates. Your map and your stalls will also copy over and will be live instantly. Now, when your map copies over, you want to make sure you're copying the right market so that you get the right market map. So if you don't have any changes to your market map, it's great because it will just be live instantly. And when you go into your stall assignments, your vendors will not be assigned because they may have not yet applied. However, all your stalls will be set up. So let's say you have 100 stalls. Your new market that you copied will also have 100 stalls. I want to take you through a little bit about the copy process. So from this screen, I'm in Market Apps on the left-hand side. I'm going to click New Market Application. And if your market is 8 dates or more, which is the most common, just leave it to the default. If your market is what we call a special event, go ahead and change this to event of 7 or fewer dates. Just kind of helps our billing team know how to create your bill. You're going to select the market that you want to copy from and hit copy. When you do, it's going to look something like this. And this is in edit mode. So here I've got my message to prospective vendors, my message to applicants. So this pops up on the screen after they apply and is a great time to start asking for licenses. So, please upload your licenses, that sort of thing. Anything in here that you need them to do. Here, you're going to review your vendor types. As I said, the dates will adjust and your stall assignments and your payment plans may or may not change. Also, great time to review those questions. Is there any questions during your season that you wish you had asked, but you didn't ask? Now's the time. Anything that you would like your vendors to agree to that you didn't get them to agree to last year. And then, of course, you want to have your legal agreement here. Also a great idea to, I don't have it in this example, but right here where it says rules and regulations, this should be a link or vendor handbook, which you can actually store in the documents repository, and that'll make it live. So anything you put in the documents repository will make it live on the cloud, so you can just share a link. Super simple. When you copy, it will also copy your map. So this is the exact same map I used for 2025. It is now in my 2026 market and it is live. As I start assigning stalls, they will populate in here automatically. If you want to deactivate the map, maybe the link is on your website and you just want to deactivate it, it's not ready yet, you can just uncheck this box. So now that you've got your market copied, I want you to start thinking about vendor engagement. So the first step is we want them to engage with Manage My Market so that they can apply to your market. That's number one, but there's so much more they can do. Vendors can log into Manage My Market and they can log sales, upload documents, and complete follow-up tasks. So paying invoices, things like that. Email alone isn't enough. These days, email spam filters are so vigorous and Gmail makes it so easy to unsubscribe accidentally. But the reality is, I think in most cases, emails just get buried in busy inboxes. So if you're a market that's invoicing your vendors and asking them to pay online, get them in the habit of not having to rely on the email. They can log in to Manage My Market at any time and see their invoices right there. And I'm actually going to show you a screenshot of what that looks like in just a couple minutes. System engagement, it ensures that the vendors are informed and it helps you get more accurate reporting. So for example, if your vendors are reporting their sales, engaged vendors are more organized, accountable, and they all help contribute to the success of your event. Actually going to skip ahead a little bit. So this is what it looks like on the vendor side when vendors log in to Manage My Market to pay an invoice. And this was just improved so that it's easier than ever for vendors to access the invoices and pay them. So in the past, if you're an existing customer, you may know that on the vendor side, they had to scroll all the way past a ledger, which could be pretty lengthy if the vendor's been with you for a while. Now they go straight to the invoices and they just click to pay. So it's super, super easy for them to pay those invoices online. The other thing I want to mention is for our customers that use auto charges. Auto charges is where they keep a card on file. So you can invite your vendors to keep a card on file. And that card number is hidden from you. You only have access to the last 4 digits in your market's payment processor. Stripe and Square are great options for this, and connect with Manage My Market. This enables the market manager to just charge the card and the vendor then gets a receipt. So it helps you get paid faster because you're not waiting on the vendor to make those payments. If that auto charge fails, and I know some of our current customers are on the call and that happens at times when they have insufficient funds or there's some other factor, it'll go into a holding area to be retried. And you can just rerun it from that area when they've updated their card or they've added funds. But they can also just come here and pay it. So if you have a vendor that you try to charge the card on file and it fails, you don't have to take full responsibility for rerunning that card until it's successful. You can put the onus on the vendor to log in and pay their invoice. Let's dive into reports. So Manage My Market offers over 70 reports, and I think that it can be daunting. I know for myself, even someone so familiar with the software, looking at that many reports is daunting. So let me try to take a little bit of that off your plate and get people a little bit more comfortable with reports. When you go to the report module, we've added this search filter. So you can just start typing here, like maybe you want to learn about attendance, and all of those attendance reports are going to come up for you. So if you have something specific in mind that you're looking for, use the search function. This works great. All of our reports have different filters depending on the kind of report it is. So you're going to select maybe by market, maybe by dates, just all sort of depends on the kind of information you want to get out of Manage My Market. These checkboxes are columns in your report. So if there are things you don't need, you can uncheck those boxes and it'll just make your report smaller. You can download this as a CSV, which is probably the most common. Works great in Google Sheets too, if you're like me and you don't use Excel. You can also just download it as a PDF. And I want to make sure everyone's aware, this has been here for a while now, but I want to make sure everyone's aware of this preview report on screen button. This makes it so easy to see the data right online without having to download anything. So if you don't need a report to send to someone else, you just need to look at some information. I really like the vendor signed up by market date report for this, and I just preview the report on screen to get the information that I need. You can also now favorite reports, so you can put a little heart next to it so that you know that's your favorite report that you can go back to, so you don't have to keep filtering back and forth, back and forth. Reports are important for a lot of reasons. I'm just going to talk about a couple, but there's good reasons to have data for your internal use, and there's good reasons to have data to share with stakeholders outside of your organization. So attendance number one is super important to track because that enables you to run a quick report and get attendance on the overall attendance of your market throughout your season, for a particular market date, or within a specific range. Maybe you want to see how many vendors came in April, for example. But also, you might just be feeling like a particular vendor has missed a lot of markets. And so anecdotally, you think, oh, they're never here. Maybe they're flaky. But it's just sort of a sense that you have because you're busy and you're doing a million things and there's a market every week. Running a report on that vendor is actually going to give you the facts. So if you're tracking attendance, you can actually run a report and take that to your vendor and say, hey, hey, I see here we've had, 25 markets so far and you've missed 9 of them. Let's have a conversation. So it allows you to look at things broadly, and it also allows you to look at things at a more smaller level, more unique level with a particular vendor. I like to talk about sales data because me personally, I really changed my tune on this. Gosh, maybe over 10 years ago, I was at a small farm conference here in California, and FMC was talking about metrics and why it was important. And even then, I really had a hard time connecting with why metrics were important, why having numbers was important. And it really wasn't until COVID that I started to really understand the value of collecting sales numbers from my vendors. Because as markets had to make the case that they were essential, we really needed data to back that up. And my market didn't have that data. My market had to rely on other markets that had been collecting that data to make the case for us. So if, having the sales numbers really empowers you to be able to compete for space in your city or your downtown association and take that information to those stakeholders to really prove, how you're supporting the community economically. Obviously, revenue reports are incredibly important. We have a host of reports in Manage My Market, and that's being enhanced right now and will be live very soon with easier features to be able to run a report based on various criteria. Right now, we offer about 6 different reports. They're going to be merged into one, and I think you guys are going to love it. Bottom line with reports is that data, it really helps us make informed decisions. I have since been collecting sales data for my vendors. It's new and I have a very well-established markets that I oversee, so it's taking time, but having that information has been really eye-opening to me. So if you're not collecting sales data now, I encourage you to consider it in your next season ahead. And again, that's a great thing to include in your market application now so that you're setting that stage for the next season. Okay, what's new? We have lots new. I'm excited to share it with you. So no more no reply. Those of you that have been with Manage My Market for quite a while understand that, excuse me, all emails, and that includes notifications that are sent through Manage My Market, come from an email address that says no reply at managemymarket.com. This has now changed. Now emails, you may have already noticed, emails, notifications, anything that comes from the Manage My Market server will have your organization name on it. Okay, so here's an example. It says Farmers Market Org because it's just a generic name. It will say via Manage My Market, and the new email address is market@managemymarket.com. So this kind of reset anyone who had unsubscribed from no reply, which is a huge bonus because like I said, it's really easy to unsubscribe accidentally. So now that's all kind of been reset. So the goal with Manage My Market has been to increase the likelihood that those emails are being delivered. And so there's been a lot of optimization going on the back end to get those emails into those busy email inboxes. Also, if a vendor hits reply, they can hit reply now. So there's no more no reply. If they reply to a message that you send out of Manage My Market, it will come to your email. So if, let's say, your primary email address in Manage My Market is manager@gmail.com, just as an example, when they hit reply, it'll go to your Gmail inbox. So no more lost replies. Talk about entry types. Entry types are really anything you charge for. So here's some examples: application fee, daily fee, electrical. Sometimes markets will break this down to like single stall fee or single stall fee at market A. So you can really get as nitty gritty as you want. The problem with entry types until now is that they kind of start to pile up on you because once you've used an entry type, it can't be deleted because it exists in an old invoice. And so this has been a kind of a pain point for current users that we've now changed so that you can actually hide these entry types. So that's going to be launching, I think, next week. So look for that soon. Go into settings and then go to entry types, and you'll see that we have a whole bunch of features now to hide the entry type from yourself if you're no longer using it. So that when you go to create an invoice, and there's lots of different ways to create invoices, I could do a meeting just on that. When you go to add a new line item, you can make this list shorter and just use the ones that are relevant to you right now. So I'm super excited about now you can hide those entry types. By default, any entry type you haven't used in the last 3 years will be hidden from you already. So if you want to use it, you can just unhide it. But we assume if you haven't used it in 3 years, you probably don't need it. The other thing that's new, and we talked about this a little bit in my last webinar, is that Manage My Market is now offering website design and maintenance. So as a market manager myself, I just find that I don't have time. Some market managers have a lot of web design experience and are really great at it. I am not one of those managers. And so I've taken advantage of this, and it's really been a relief. When I engaged in website design and maintenance services with Manage My Market as a customer, I thought my website was fine. I was very happy with my website. It didn't need a lot of changes. But they were able to optimize it so that it came up in searches faster. And number one, they were able to optimize it for mobile, which was something that I really didn't know I needed. Or I hadn't really thought of, to be honest, but really most of the customers are accessing your website on their phone when they're on their way to your market. The advantage of having Manage My Market work on your website is that there are so many tools within Manage My Market, like the market map, your vendor directory, all of those things that work with the Manage My Market program that our designers are experts in and can really optimize for you. So very excited to share with all of you that we have a new product coming to market. This site is called Tap for Vendors. I'm super excited about it. We've been really busy working on this. And, Manage My Market for 20 plus years has always allowed vendors to use the platform to find markets. That's been the model. But you've not been able to use Manage My Market to find vendors. So what happens when you find vendors? How do you find vendors? In fact, that's another question we'd love to know. Go ahead and just put it in the chat. I'm not going to put the question, but go ahead and just tell us in the chat, how do you find vendors? Is it in person? Do you go to other markets? Is it online? How are you finding vendors for your market? This site is currently launched in beta mode. So you can actually go to tapforvendors.com. Olamide, will you go ahead and put that link in the chat, tapforvendors.com, and check it out for yourselves. I'm going to actually show you. My escape button is not wanting to work. It's driving me nuts. Let me out of the slideshow. Okay, here we go. So tapforvendors.com, check it out. You can actually just come right here. And if you allow the cookies, it will default to your location. Okay. And then you can just search by vendor type. We've identified common vendor types. So while vendor types are custom in Manage My Market, they're all pretty much the same, right? So we've been able to narrow down similarities and break these into vendor types. So for example, prepared food. So if I check that box, it's going to do a search for me of prepared foods. And you have the opportunity here to learn about the business, learn about the products they carry, link to their website, email. And then also it's kind of helpful to know when they were established and kind of gives you a sense if they've been doing this for a while. You can invite the vendor to apply with just a click by logging into your managemymarket.com account. So we really encourage you to utilize this site. We're hoping that you'll partner with us by offering feedback. So it's very simple right now in beta mode. So there's two options here at the top. One, search for vendors. Two, provide feedback. So we're really asking you as our partners to, use this site, give us honest feedback, help us make it great. We're super excited about this. It's a great fit for markets that are starting for the first time and have no vendors, but it's also really helpful if you just need like a specific kind of vendor. Maybe you're looking for more farmers, or maybe you're looking for more hot food. So again, you can search by vendor type. You can learn about those vendors instantly. You can invite them to apply, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Really quickly, I want to tell you about what's coming soon. Graphic enhanced reports. So some of us are data nerds, and some of us love Excel, and some of us really want to see pictures at a glance, right? Show me with a bar chart, where things stand. So very soon you're going to see that the reports are going to be enhanced with graphics, which is going to be really fun for you to share with your boards and other stakeholders and even your customers in your community. There's also going to be, I've been talking a lot about email and vendor engagement. There's going to be opportunities for you to notify your vendors right through Manage My Market and send them notifications that are not email, but rather notifications when they log into Manage My Market, they kind of get all up to date. And lastly, you will be able soon to access your Manage My Market invoice right within the portal and make payments and also look at past invoices.